a nation divided, setting the stage for the American Civil War. The American Civil War, a conflict that tore the nation apart from 1861 to 1865, remains a pivotal event in United States history. It was a war that not only shaped the future of the nation, but also defined its core values and principles. It was a clash of ideologies, economies, and cultures, primarily centered around the institution of slavery. The North and South had developed along very different lines, leading to a profound and irreconcilable divide. The young nation, founded on principles of liberty and equality, grappled with the deeply ingrained system of slavery in its southern states. This contradiction between the nation's ideals and its practices created a moral and political crisis. This struggle for the soul of America would ultimately lead to the bloodiest conflict ever fought on American soil, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's trajectory. The war's legacy continues to influence American society and politics to this day. From the very beginning, the United States faced the daunting task of balancing the interests of the North and the South. This balance was precarious and often threatened by the differing needs and values of each region. The North, with its burgeoning industrial economy, increasingly viewed slavery as morally reprehensible and economically inefficient. The Industrial Revolution had changed the way people worked and lived, making the institution of slavery seem outdated and inhumane. The South, heavily reliant on slave labor for its agricultural prosperity, fiercely defended the institution as integral to its way of life. The economy of the South was deeply intertwined with the labor of enslaved people, making any threat to slavery a threat to their very existence. This fundamental difference in values and economic systems created a rift between the two regions, a rift that would widen over time. The cultural and economic disparities only served to deepen the divide. As the nation expanded westward, the debate over slavery intensified. Each new territory brought with it the question of whether it would be a free or slave state, further complicating the national discourse. Each new territory that applied for statehood reignited the question of whether slavery would be permitted within its borders. This ongoing debate kept the nation in a constant state of tension and uncertainty. Political compromises, such as the Missouri Compromise of 1820 and the Compromise of 1850, attempted to maintain a fragile balance. These measures were seen as temporary fixes to a growing problem. However, these measures proved to be temporary solutions, merely postponing the inevitable confrontation. The underlying issues remained unresolved, leading to increased tensions. The issue of slavery permeated every aspect of American society, fueling passionate debates in newspapers, courtrooms, and legislative chambers. It was a topic that could not be ignored and demanded attention from all corners of the nation. Abolitionists advocating for the immediate end of slavery clashed with pro-slavery advocates who defended it as a necessary evil or even a positive good. These opposing viewpoints created a volatile environment. The tension between these opposing viewpoints reached a fever pitch, setting the stage for a nation on the brink of war. The conflict seemed inevitable as both sides prepared for the coming storm.
North and South, medley.
The seeds of conflict, slavery, states' rights, and the path to secession. The year 1860 proved to be a pivotal turning point in American history, setting the stage for a conflict that would forever change the nation. The election of Abraham Lincoln, a Republican opposed to the expansion of slavery, sent shockwaves through the South, igniting fears and tensions. Southern states, fearing that Lincoln's victory signaled the eventual demise of their way of life, began to take drastic measures to protect their interests. South Carolina, the state most ardently committed to the institution of slavery, became the first to secede from the Union in December 1860, setting a precedent for others. Following South Carolina's lead, 6 other southern states, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, seceded by February 1861, forming a unified front. These states formed the Confederate States of America, a new nation founded on the principle of preserving slavery and states' rights, challenging the Union's authority. Jefferson Davis, a former U.S. Senator from Mississippi, was elected as the Confederacy's first president, symbolizing the South's resolve. The secession of these states marked the official beginning of the American Civil War, a conflict that would test the nation's very fabric. The Confederacy's justification for secession rested on the principle of states' rights, a deeply held belief in the South. Southerners argued that the federal government had overstepped its constitutional bounds by attempting to restrict slavery in the territories, infringing on their autonomy. They maintained that individual states had the right to secede from the Union, a right that they believed was enshrined in the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, emphasizing their legal stance. The Union, under the leadership of President Lincoln, vehemently rejected the Confederacy's claims of secession, standing firm on the principles of unity. Lincoln argued that the Constitution established a perpetual union and that no state had the legal right to secede, reinforcing the idea of an indivisible nation. He vowed to preserve the Union by any means necessary, even if it meant resorting to armed conflict, demonstrating his commitment to the nation's integrity. With the lines drawn in the sand, the nation braced itself for the tumultuous journey ahead, a journey that would shape the future of the United States. Clashes of blue and gray key battles and turning points that shaped the course of the Civil War forever.